Oh boy, this one's a good one, okay? David Williams invited me to come on to his podcast, and so we're redistributing it across my channels, and that's what you're about to watch right here on the Coach Carroll YouTube channel, or maybe you're watching this on Facebook or somewhere else. But my team put this together. Great conversations. We talk about the stuff with Donald Trump's going on with the trade war negotiations. We talked about business and finance and how to build a team and lots of good stuff. So make sure you got your notepad ready and be sure to drop me a comment and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. I look forward to reading those comments. As always, hustle, it's worth it. Let's get to it.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts. It's that time. It's May 15th. It's 10:30 a.m. and we are live in the Insurance Syndicate Facebook group. So welcome to the show, everybody. You're really in for a treat today. I'm thrilled to have Mr. DJ Carroll, otherwise known as Coach Carroll. And he's a serial entrepreneur that has launched and scaled and sold multiple businesses, personally delivered more than 2,000 coaching sessions, trained hundreds of thousands of professionals on sales psychology and advertising strategy. DJ is the CEO of Carroll Media and an author, a dynamic keynote speaker, and the architect of the 4-pillar success framework. Dream more, be more, do more, and give more. Today, he's here to share real-world lessons complete with an edgy twist that he's famous for. DJ, welcome to the show, my friend. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on.
Damn, I'm going to bottle that up and save it, man. Thanks for having me on, David. That was a hell of an intro. I'm excited to be here with everybody and spend a little time giving back to the community. Shout out to everybody. Appreciate you tuning in, watching live and on the replay. Excited to spend the next 60 minutes with you guys.
I love it. I love it. Well, I mean, where we like to, which I like that headset, by the way. I got to get one of those headsets. I feel like I'm like on ESPN and I'm official.
Yeah, I'm channeling my inner Dave Ramsey vibes. Just, you know, I'm not like against debt like he is, but other than that, you know, just trying to be this sportscaster, man. Got to make sure the audio is nice and crispy.
I love it. I love it. No, but where we like to start off is maybe tell us how you got started in your entrepreneurship journey and what your American dream story might look like so the audience can hear about it.
Yeah, man, I love that. You know, America is an enterprising country, as I like to say. And so, we had to take it all the way back to high school, man. I'll be 37 next month. I'm about to have my second baby and I'm married now. But if I go all the way back to 2007, it's my senior year of high school. I'm sitting in chemistry class. I'm in AP chemistry and you know, I aced chemistry 1, chemistry 2. I'm in AP chemistry, and like I'm just, you know, I'm a nerd, man. I love it. But I also played football and basketball and golf, cross country, track, and so I'm kind of a jock and a nerd hybrid. And I'm sitting in class, man, and you know, I've got several football scholarship offers that were given to me, which even to this day, I'm grateful for even that opportunity that was given to me. And I was going to be the first kid in my family to go to college. And so my family was all jazzed up about it. We're super excited. And I had started a little side hustle mowing grass that had grown quite quickly to the point where my senior year of high school, I was actually signing myself out for the second half of the day. And while all the other students would go co-op, right? They'd go to the factories or the office buildings and do their co-op jobs. I was actually signing myself out to my own business. And so I was signing both sides of the book and going out and mowing yards for the second half of the day, the second half of my senior year. And so I got to this point, David, where I'm like, they're making like $4,000 a month, right? Legally. And I was like, I don't come from much, and I didn't want to go away to school and just give that cash up and be another broke college kid. And so I did what no one expected me to do. And honestly, at the time, I felt like I was letting my family down, but I decided to turn down all those scholarships, not forgo a career path in chemical engineering and the traditional college route. And I started hustling, dude. And I've been hustling ever since then. And so that lawn and landscape business grew it to about $3 million in revenue and sold it. Don't get too excited. The multiples on lawn care businesses are shit. So I didn't make enough money to like retire. But that was the first foray into it. And dude, I still remember the day, like I told my mom and my dad, like we're sitting at the dinner table, and it was kind of like their own medicine, because my mom, I was very fortunate to have a dad that like taught me the hustle. He never made more than $20 an hour in his life, but he was just a hard worker and provided for our family. And so like I always had that work ethic, and laziness wasn't tolerated in our family, like for a split second. Right. But then on the opposite side, I had the nurturer, like with my mom, who always told me and my little brother, like, you can always do whatever you believe you can do, right? Like if you can believe it, you can achieve it, right? Those old like mantras. And so I was like, hey, I want to go do this business thing. And like I remember my dad like dropping us fort, because he's like disbelief, like, hey man, you were supposed to go make $100,000 a year. What they didn't know is like, we have $100,000 weeks years later. And so yeah, man, just been a hustler and a grinder from the start. I still, in the midst of what we live in right now, where hustle culture is kind of like, don't do that, have balance and zen and, all this other stuff that, fill butterflies. I still think that there is a world and a place for builders, for doers, for creators, that, dude, you got to get off your ass and hustle if you want to make something happen. Thinking only gets you so far.
No, absolutely, man. You're singing my music, and I got a very similar American dream story too. And we're actually in the process of writing a book called American Dream Revival, because I think it needs to be revived in America. I think there's more opportunity than there ever was in this country. And to your point, we're teaching people to sit back, not be as resilient. Don't go out and, don't go out and put the work in. Everything comes entitled. All of that. And, our plan is to kind of go tour around and speak against that and revive that American dream and help people redefine it. Right. Because, I think a lot of people are taught, you look at it. I think statistics show our youth are surveyed. Hey, what do you think about the American dream? And 86% of them embrace it, but it's upwards of 70% of them think it's not attainable for them. And I think, a lot of them, we got a lot of myths that are out there, a lot of lies that have been sold to people. It's like, hey, go out and get that house, go out and get that car, keep up with the Joneses. And before you know it, you're part of 81% of kids 25 and under that are paycheck to paycheck with subprime credit scores. And to me, that's not the American dream. That's not the birthplace of the American dream. But, what if kids understood, hey, I can go out there. What if I had a little bit of delayed gratification, took advantage of a new home buying program, and got into a property 3% down? Instead of it was a home for me, it was a fourplex, Airbnb or long-term rent 3 of those units out, have the passive income from them, pay for your place to live, pay for your car. And you don't have to be an entrepreneur like you or I, but maybe, you go out to that W-2, instead of working to survive, you're working to thrive. So I think, there's more opportunity than ever, but it's just like, we got to, share our stories and help revive that American dream that's out there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. That stat you said, like 70% or 80% think it's unobtainable, unreachable. That takes me back to that chemistry teacher and that guidance counselor in high school. When I told him, I was like, hey, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go tackle this business thing, right? Like this was in 2007. So this was way before Gary Vee made the word entrepreneur cool, right? Like it was like, what, you're throwing your life away. I still remember my chemistry teacher saying, so what, DJ, you're just going to mow grass for the rest of your life, right? And it was like, and really, I think people think it's unattainable, David, because to me, it's in my core, it's the very first fundamental personal development lesson that you have to learn, which is this: you have to believe in yourself when no one else does. Like,
absolutely.
Like, when Elon's like, we're going to go to Mars, the first time he had that idea, do you think there was just a room full of people that was like, great idea, Elon, golf clap it up, let's fucking do it? No, man. Like there was probably 100 people around him that was like, that's impossible. Why would you even think that? You're wasting your time. You're going to waste your resources. And so for me, I think a lot of that younger generation, it's like I'm 37. I'm part of the younger generation too. But it's like I think a lot of people these days, and even older people that are maybe stuck in a job and in a career the whole life. Colonel Sanders, right here at home. I'm in Kentucky, man. He didn't start that until his later years, right? And so I love young entrepreneurs, meaning I don't care what your age is. It's just you're at the beginning of your enterprising venture. And so I just think more people, man, you just got to believe in yourself when nobody else does. And it'll be lonely for a while, but even Einstein said this, and I know it's kind of like, a little bit of a rub, but all truths go through 3 phases, right? First they're denied, then they're ridiculed, and then they prove self-evident. And that's exactly what happened to me in my career. That's what's happened to you. And every person that you can point a finger at that's been successful in some form or fashion.
It's kind of like what our country is going through right now, too.
Yeah. Go follow me on social media if you want to get those hot takes, man. I'm like, everybody's getting a fucking master class in negotiations right now. So,
100%, baby. The art of the deal we got going on. And then, if you contrast that too, you look at somebody, we got a pioneer in our country that's literally going to go to Mars. Like he's going to, he's gone to space, going to Mars. But if you contrast that to going out and starting a business to make 7 figures, well, if somebody can go to Mars or somebody going to the moon, when you look at, building a business that serves people and make yourself 7 figures, it's really not that unattainable when you contrast what is possible that's out there. And that kind of leads me to my next question. You've always said opportunity is always nearby for anyone willing to focus to do the work. Yeah. Can you remember a time early on when that belief was tested the most for you?
Yesterday, the day before that. I mean, it's like, every day of my life. I'll touch on one thing too about the last piece here. I really believe that if you're willing to believe, like get crazy for a second and believe that your wild ass idea might actually work, you're already halfway there. Like it really is that easy. And I'll give you a prime example of this. I'm not a stock trader. This isn't financial advice, whatever. But I was on Twitter the other day. I follow some of these feeds of like that follow option flow, right? And option trading. So stick with me if you're like, where the fuck is he going with this? There's option trading, right? And so I follow this guy and he posts up and he's like, whoa, a well just bought $10 million worth of call options on AMD. This was last week. I was like, damn, $10 million of options. Like, probably something there. It took $5,000, stuffed it in. I was like, let's see what happens. Let's see what the ride. Dude, yesterday morning, I'm up 66% of those options in less than a week. So where I'm going with this is this. Somebody took $10 million and they're up 66. They're up $6 million. They made $6 million in less than a week, okay? You can build a business and go get $1 million out of the market and not a single fucking person knows about it. Like it doesn't, they don't run out and like have a parade and celebrate you, but they also don't put it on a CNBC News headline. Okay. Your thinking has to expand. And David, if you ask me, like, when was there a time, dude, every day I catch myself going, I'm not thinking big enough. I'm not dreaming big enough because it's like, well, I don't know if that's possible or not. Right. Like you literally can go make 6 million. I don't even know who the guy was, right? I was just checking flows. It's like some no-name person out there made $6 million in the last 5 days. Maybe he keeps making more. I don't know. Say he closed it out yesterday in 5 days, make $6 million and provide no value, right? It's just intrinsic back and forth. So a lot of these beliefs that we make up or that we're taught, to your point, it kind of self-sabotages us, man. It keeps us from thinking that we can achieve great big things. And then you just get in that what I call the doom feedback loop where, you're just like, you have an idea, you think of all the great reasons why it would work. Then you start thinking about the reasons why it won't work. Then you think, okay, I need a new idea. Rinse and repeat. And it's a form of mental masturbation, if you will. And it's like, and nothing gets done, man. Like nothing gets achieved.
Where your attention goes, energy flows. So you take a look at it. Those that just sit there and focus on their problems and they stress and they get anxiety, you know what they get in the world? You get more stress, more anxiety, and bigger problems. Yeah. But if you kind of put those things to the side and then you focus on solutions, you focus on opportunity, you got that positive mental attitude. Some people will call it, well, you got rose-colored glasses again, Dave. Well, I don't think there's any other way to live than being optimistic like that, because when you're living in that lane, more good comes to you. And I think, that's really what the law of attraction is. Like our brains are built to get more of what we put our thoughts, our self-talk, what we do out into the world, we're going to get more of.
Yeah, man. I love it. I think back to when I told my team about Alli, right? So like Carroll Media, eventually I sold the lawn care company. I transitioned into power washing and window cleaning business. That still operates with 5 hours a week of my time now. I've got a team that we operate and clean some of the biggest projects in the Midwest and Southeast. A lot of people don't know that about me. We've cleaned multi-million-dollar soccer stadiums. It's pretty wild little business, spraying water. But when I transitioned into Carroll Media, building the advertising technology company, this will relate to your audience. Mark Smith, my State Farm agent, was one of my very first business mentors, and so I ran my first Facebook ad back in 2013. by 2016, I pretty much had it nailed down and figured it out. We were printing money with it. So I go to Mark Smith and I'm like, hey dude, you need to be doing this, right? And like State Farm had just approved them to like have Facebook pages. And so we do it. We go off the races. And 1 month later, he was like, holy smokes, dude, I've never seen anything like this. I'm getting screenshots of people like texting me pictures of my ads, right? And so now everybody's like, what? Who would do that? You guys are 10 years late to the race. Okay. In 2016, a Facebook ad was like, holy smokes, well, there's Mark. I've never seen him before. And so that's where we kind of built this business. But I'll tell you, about 30 months ago, this crazy little thing called AI came along. And I saw this and I'm like, this is the next wave. And so I want to do a quick give to your audience now. There's been 3 big waves that have hit small businesses. Okay. And so 3 technological ways, they all start with A. The first one was access, which was the internet, right? So you had access to information like you've never had before. The second one was attention. And the attention allowed a small business owner to talk directly to their customer, just like a big business could. Okay. You didn't need multi-million-dollar budgets anymore. This new wave of artificial intelligence is the next game changer. And so, you know, you asked, the question was like, hey, was there ever a time where, you know, maybe you had to like overcome that? I had to overcome it with my team when I was like, here's the big idea, guys. We're no longer a small Facebook ad shop that's built on hustle. Like, we're going to build an AI platform that's going to change the fucking game for small businesses. And they're all looking around the room like, what? What? Okay, cool, man. Is this like another crazy idea? And it's like, no, man. And so like, I had to sell my team on it. You know, I had to sell myself on it first, but then I had to sell my team on it. And now we're selling our customers on it. And so, you know, every day you're going to have that battle if you're a mover and a shaker. I truly believe that to my core.
No, 100%. And I think, you know, to your point too, I mean, those that are not getting on with AI right now are going to be left behind. There's so many people that talk about, hey, is AI going to replace people? Are they going to replace insurance agents? Are they going to replace this industry? I don't think necessarily. I think the people that get really good at using AI as a tool and embedding it into their day and into their businesses, those people are going to replace people that don't. Like, that's what's going to happen, I think, at the end of the day. Like, we just started a software, Jarvie, that helps automate the hiring and the training process that's powered by AI. It takes like 70% of the labor intensiveness out of the hiring and the training process. And we're having AI do a lot of that for us. So, you know, when I think of my day, I'm living on this, on ChatGPT all day long, because when you got that sort of tool in your pocket, why not use it? I think of it as a second brain. Anytime that I'm sitting there critically thinking, trying to solve a problem, like, I'm using my brain first, but then I'm using it as a mentor. How could I bounce off my ideas off of it and then see what it has to give me for feedback and enhance those ideas? Yeah. I talk to so many business owners and agents. Well, you know, I can never find the time. Well, what are you spending your time on? Well, I spent 2 hours this morning just cleaning my email box. Throw that stuff in the AI, have it analyze your emails for you, and then voice dictate the responses and hit send, and take 2 hours turning it to 8 minutes. If you're not doing these things in compounding, in compressing your time, so now you can allocate your time where you where it matters most inside of your business, like, you're really losing out. It's not just for spell check or grammar. Like, I think there's so many people that are using it in a very rudimentary way, but if you can truly integrate that in your life, I mean, you got a mentor in your pocket. You have a health mentor. You have a business mentor. If you can't afford to hire a coach, you know, Chat AI, Grok, Chat GPT, you know, bounce things off of that. It might not give you the perfect answer, but what it will do is just really enhance your creativity and your problem solving to, you know, to a totally other stratosphere.
Yeah, I want to give your audience 2 frameworks. I want to jam on this for a second if we can, because I've seen. I actually just reshared. There's another person in another company in our space. I reshared one of their clips the other day because I was like, they're completely wrong. And unfortunately, I think you guys are wrong on this too. I think they will replace people, and they already have. And here's why. You said, hey, we're using this thing. It's alleviated. Like, we're 70% more efficient, right? It's doing 70% of the work. That means there are people that aren't doing that job anymore. That doesn't mean you fired them. It just means you moved them to higher level things, right? And so, yes, it did replace that person in that job. Here's another place where I think most people.
What I mean there is, like, somebody that's using that tool, you know, replace those other people. So
yeah, but if you think
and
for a second that in the next 60 months, there's not going to be an insurance agency that spins up that has an AI receptionist that never misses a phone call, and then an AI business
100%.
development rep that can intake all the questions that somebody normally does, and then put that into a system and spit the quote back out and bind a policy, like, you're sadly mistaken. You're the plumber in 2006 that said, why do I need a website? The internet's a fad.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's going to happen 100%.
So it's like, it's going to replace people. Where most people screw this up, man, is they don't realize the technology they have. So there's a 3-step frame, and you guys will catch this. I love talking to frameworks because I think it's easier for people to grasp it. Where people screw up using a tool like ChatGPT or Claude's, Anthropic's Claude, or whatever, Gemini, go on about, is there's really 3 approaches, 3 levels. And this is why I don't believe that AI levels a playing field. I don't believe that social media levels a playing field. I don't believe that the internet levels a playing field. I think all of these are stretching and more disproportionate, and the winners are going to win bigger and the losers are going to lose even bigger, right? And so here it is. The first one is, if you use ChatGPT as a glorified Google prompt, you're an idiot. Yep. You literally have a genie in your fucking pocket and you're like, wow, I get 3 wishes. Can I have a Big Mac? It's like, what? Like, of all the things you could ask for, that's what you ask for, right? Where should I eat dinner tonight, ChatGPT? Like, come on, man. So that's the first one, using it as
I'll give you a quick example too. Like, I just used it the other day to analyze my blood work, and I'm like, hey, think like a world-renowned integrative health doctor and analyze my blood work. And now we're in the talks of developing an app that can take all the health insights and measure your KPIs, like treating your body like a business, and then building an app that allows people to have health insights access that they never had before.
Yeah.
So there's like so much that you could do with it. It's just,
so that's step number 2 of my framework, is using it for analysis, right? It can comb through data and give you summaries 10 times better and 10 times faster than a human can. The third one is to use it against itself, right? Everyone has seen the stat that, like, the big money makers in the next decade are going to be the prompters, right? The prompt engineers has like become a new word, right? You got to be a prompt engineer. No, you don't. You have to say, hey, I'm a hillbilly from Kentucky. I don't know how to prompt engineer, but this is what I need you to fucking do. Give me the best prompt to make you do that. And it goes, right? So use it to help you write the prompt. That, I think, is the X factor using those. So
I love that. I love that. And that's one of the things that, I do on a consistent basis too. Like, I'll tell it as I get more advanced with using AI. I'm like, hey, here's some of my goals. Here's my business goals, my personal goals, professional goals. This is how I'm using you now. If you were me, you were trying to accomplish this, and knowing how I'm using you, what would you do differently to magnify the impact? And then it gives you a totally other different prompt on how you could use it at a different level. And it's like, imagine you're doing that every single month, and you start to get more and more intricate and more sophisticated how you're using AI. And then you have AI analyze how you're using AI and how you can actually use it better, and who's better to give you feedback than AI.
Yeah, man. I love it.
And you can build prompts too, where you say, like, on this specific model I build, especially with like ChatGPT 03, you can say, once you complete this, I want you to cross-analyze every mistake, criticize yourself in an intense manner, use all of your criticism to rewrite the prompt and rewrite an output, and then go into a continuous loop. And then you could say, create a scoring system for the quality of your work. And if you score less than 100 out of 100, redo it. And this thing will go into like this thing and pop out, 20 steps beyond. I see a lot of people just get the surface answer, and they don't really like beat the tool and be like, no, give me your best, just like you would with an employee.
There's no like public statement on this, but it's just like, I asked ChatGPT the other day, I was like, how long have I been using you? Like, how many hours? It said, based on our calculations, between 300 and 400 hours is what I've spent on ChatGPT, right? So like, I'm big on being a user and getting my hands dirty with it. One thing that I've figured out is that 03, it was called the 03 mini model. Now it's just 03. That model kicks the 4.0 model's ass all day long. What I think they did is they took everybody to 4.0 to limit the GPU usage on 03, because 04 is like the 4.0 is like, it's a quick spit out of an answer, right? When you use 03, and if the listeners are like, what the hell are you talking about? You just click the little drop down button in the top left corner and go to like 03. You'll be able to see it thinking. It literally is like thinking. And so like, it starts talking to itself, which is like the wildest thing ever. And, you know, people think that, you know, it's AGI is way, way, way far off. I think we're there by the end of the decade. And then the biggest thing, we'll say for another podcast or another interview, comes quantum computing, which is going to change the game too. But anyway, back to the show.
I like, you know, I think this is, you know, it's a valuable topic for the audience too, because we don't get in this a ton. And now that we're getting into in depth, like I would be, you know, curious what recommendations you have for insurance agents specifically on things that they can implement today when it comes to AI. Like some of the things that we're doing in our companies, and I'm sure you're probably doing in your companies as well. Like we took our CRM system and we're building in, you know, already have it built, looking to launch an AI interactive scorecard. So it'll literally transcribe the call in real time. And it could be a coach in real time telling them what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong right in their face during a live sales call, so they can course correct the behavior right then and there. Like we have AI that's analyzing job interviews. So we created a one-way interview system where the AI avatar can do the first interview, get video responses from it, and then we have the AI analyze that video and do an assessment, cutting 70% of the process out. I think, you know, there's so many different tools out there, but I'd love to wrap on for a minute what recommendations you have insurance specific on how they could change the game in their agency by giving their whole team access to that in your thoughts.
Yeah, so I always say this like with an asterisk first, just because I've been in the insurance space since 2016. Check compliance, right? Like we don't want anybody in trouble or getting losing their agency or their job. But I mean, you know, selfishly, I'll tell you, like Alli, our AI platform, like the first thing she does is detect. So her AI lead detection, you install it on your website, she can track and identify anonymous website visitors. So what that does is that gets you guys more leads without spending any more money on advertising. That to me is like, you're already getting website traffic. Why not generate more contacts off of your website traffic? So like that's first and foremost, a little selfish there. The second thing I think is AI receptionists. You know, Alli Voice is still in beta, but I have her launched in my power washing business. That's why I still own that company as well. Kind of secretly, it's like my lab rat, right? Like we formulate some shit, I go shove it into Easy Pro, and then I'm like, it killed it. Probably shouldn't sell that to customers, right? Or it's like, oh shit, that thing was badass. So like we've had Alli answering the phones now for 3.5 weeks. She's not missed a single phone call. Actually had a vendor call in trying to like sell us insurance, right? Like they were like trying to get our general liability. And about the like 5th question in, it was funny. We were as a team, we were listening to the replay. He goes, wow, this is like really good AI. Like, and you can hear it from the customers too. They'll get about 5 questions in before they realize they're not actually talking to a person. So what I would tell you is no matter what you do with AI, make sure it's good, because I think you can inherently damage your brand in perpetuity if you just like try to flip a switch on a $7 a month something, right? And then it's like it fucks up the customer experience. So like that's sometimes the best advice, David, you know this, is not necessarily what to do, it's what not to do. And so like be careful putting in cheap, undervalued, not trained or not specialized artificial intelligence in your business. And then the last one is what I'll echo on there is if you can build a custom GPT that is trained on how sales calls should go, and you have your team feed the transcript, like if you're doing Zoom meetings, you can feed the transcript back into it and get coaching. I'll tell you a prime example of this, because we have one of those in our business that my team uses. We were talking to an agent, and at the end of it, she seemed a little like uneasy. She had been making some content. We're telling them like, hey, put out more content. Because I have a fundamental belief. The biggest problem a small business owner has is not enough people know who they are and what they sell, right? If you fix that, you fix a lot of problems in the business. And so she was like kind of being a little passive about the content. My account rep was like, all right, cool. Well, we'll talk next month. Got off the call, right? The sales bot that we created, the sales coach that we created, right? She lit the chatbot said, hey, at the end of the call, you should have reassured the client that they're doing a great job and to continue pressing forward, even though they may not be seeing the results that they're wanting. It will come. And that would have ended on an upbeat and left them feeling motivated. I'm like, damn, that has nothing to do with sales. It has nothing to, like, those are soft skills now that this thing is training on. That's why I think by the end of this decade, AGI is here, bro. Like, and I don't know if you guys saw the video yesterday Tesla put out, a robot like boot scooting and boogieing around, dude. These things are dancing now. These robots, like
I just posted about that. I'm 100% buyer. The second that comes to market, I'm buying one, but I'm also 100% locking it up in a shed in my backyard. So when I go to bed at night.
Yeah. Well, my wife is like, my wife said, we're not, we live on a 50-acre farm. She's like, a robot will never come into this house. I'm like, into the house. Can it weed eat the fence rows? Cause like, that's a couple days worth of work. Like, can I just have like a robot out here mowing the yard and,
I'll
on a
bring it in
tractor
the house.
with a
I'll
hat
bring it in
on?
the house. I just won't keep it there like at night while we're sleeping. That's
Yeah.
all.
You don't want to like waking up in the middle of the evening. So
There's a lighting company by us that has
Tesla robot
guard dog.
Hillary's you in the middle of the night.
Yeah. There's a guard dog brand, and there's a big lighting factory near us, and they have all these white guard dogs that just circulate the perimeter, and they can run. It's freaky. You drive by, and they're just out there just checking the perimeter, keeping it clear.
yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. No, I love it. I love it. Well, I want to shift gears for a minute. I mean, one of your fortes is, advertising and marketing. And I know one thing that we're never short of is ideas for agents out there, especially in this age. It's when it comes to marketing, lead generation, even buying leads from aggregators, it's now more than ever that the cheese keeps getting moved. It's either getting moved by the lead aggregator, it's getting moved by TCPA compliance laws. So we're seeing insurance agencies, as quickly as they retool when it comes to lead generation, they have to retool again. And I'd be curious, what outside of the box strategies would you advise to insurance agents out there that they can implement today as additional arrows in their quiver, so to speak, to help grow the bottom line?
Yeah, build a brand. Like fucking build a brand and stop being lazy. That's it. Most of these agents that build, and like, sorry, this is one of those unpopular opinions, and this is where like half your audience is like, okay, I'm checking out, I'm done listening to this guy. But it's like, I think most of them are lazy in a sense that like they just want to buy a bunch of leads, give it to their team, let them dial it. And listen, there's huge agents. Like a lot of them are my friends. Like I get it, man. You can build tens of millions of dollars in premium on this playbook. And if that's what you want to do, fine, that's okay. I just think the better way to do it is to build a brand, both with prospects and your current customers, right? Like if you walk down the street right now and stopped Joe Schmo and said, hey, when's the last time your insurance agent talked to you? They'd be like, never, right? And so now when agents come to me and they're like, yeah, man, like 30% of my customers leave every year. And I'm like, cool. How do you get your customers? Oh, we buy leads. I'm like, so you're buying information from an aggregator that then turns around and sells that information every 30, 60, 90, 6 months annually. And so you're surprised that your book is leaving you. I think if you spend the time, effort, and money to build a brand, then you attract. It's that law of attraction that you were talking about earlier, right? It's like you attract customers to you. Our data shows that like you can close upwards of 70%, like a 70% close rate when a lead comes from social media based on your brand versus like a 1% contact rate and a 1% close rate, right, on cold leads. And so I think for insurance agents, it's just better. It's not like, I call it the green juice method, not the cocaine method, right? So like this isn't an overnight fix. You can't drink one green juice and be like, oh my God, I'm ripped and I look like David Williams and I'm jacked, right? It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. It's a long-term play. Branding takes time, but you also have to remember that Mountain Dew spends $7.5 million on a Super Bowl ad. They don't come into the boardroom the next morning and go, smoke up our cigars and twist our mustaches. How many bottles of Mountain Dew did we sell last night, right? It doesn't work like that. And so I think having proper expectations set from the get-go is a big thing. I also think you just got a lot of shitty fucking marketers out there in the space that overpromise the world and put a bad taste in a small business owner's mouths. And we realized that, and like that's why we created Alli. That's why we created our platform. Is like we literally our new mission is to save 10,000 SMBs from becoming an SBA statistic. And so I think building a brand is something that you need to do because it's also going to be one of the only differentiators when the robots take over, right? Like that's a big piece of why I say that as well.
No, absolutely. And then you teach also a video framework called Hook, Teach, and Ask as part of that. So, once you have the lead, that's part of your framework. Could you break that down maybe a little bit for the audience on explaining what that is?
Yeah. So like my biggest thing is like, hey, make content. And if you guys go look at my social media, you'll see like content gets pumped out all the time, right? Some of it's super polished. You guys will see clips from this interview after the team gets it. I call it my content tree. And so like we take it, we break it down, we put out content around it. But then you also will see just like random, like I was out chasing the cows the other day, right? Because they got out. And so like I throw that behind the scenes motion on there. And so in all of this content creation is kind of this, you know, hook, teach, CTA, call to action, whatever you want to call it. And it really is like, you don't want to pick up your phone and go, you know, hi, this is Bob with Bob's Insurance. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit. Not right now, Monica, I'm making a video. Today, I'm going to be talking to you. Like, dude, people are like, they got the attention span of a goldfish. They're scrolling past that, right? And so it's like, you need to do something where it's like, you do a green screen and something's on fire behind you, or like a house is on fire behind you, right? Like put a video up and it's like, oh my God, my house is on fire. What should I do? Right? It's like that's a hook. And it's like, hey, here's what you should do if you have a house fire. I'm your local insurance expert, blah, 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 blah. And then you go into it, right? You got to hook them in the first 3 seconds, then give them the meat and the potatoes, and then do the CTA at the end. Now, one thing I've seen Hermosi talking about a lot lately, and I love his stuff. He's super sharp. Met that guy back in 2016. So it's been fun to follow his progress. I think, you know, organically, he doesn't really do a call to action anymore at the end, right? As far as like selling. And so I think there's a big piece there too. It's, you don't necessarily want to be like, hey, call me for an insurance policy. Maybe the CTA is something of value, right? So like if you make a video about your house burning down, you talk about the steps that you should do, then you can maybe say, hey, send me a DM and I'll send you a home checklist of all the things that you should account for in case of a fire so that we have everything documented and on file, right? That's not saying like, hey, let me write your insurance. That's just saying like, hey, I'll give you this thing, right? It's literally taking yourself out of being an insurance producer, which is where most agency owners start. And so when they go to agency owner, they're still thinking like a producer. And you got to think like a business person and put that marketing hat on and think of those ideas, or hire somebody to do it for you. You know, that's the other thing is like delegate it, do it, or delete it. Those are really the only 3 options you have in business.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things I got down here now too is, you know, a big proponent for you when growing your business was having the right culture and then having the right leadership infrastructure in place. And I think this is something we talk about on a lot of episodes where people struggle with because they come maybe from a different business where, hey, they didn't have to lead before, but now they're the leader of their ship. But there's a sense of uncomfortability there because they never learned that particular skill set, or they never had to create company culture. So what do you have to say to people out there on some of the most important fundamentals when it comes to building culture and then having the right leadership infrastructure to building and scaling a business?
Yeah, man. Andy and I talked about this quite a bit on the webinar that we just did last week. This one's a tough one for me, man, because I did it wrong for so many years. I hurt a lot of people because of it. I ran a shitty business because of it. And it was tough. Like when you operate as, you know, just show up and do your fucking job because I give you a paycheck, like it's not 1950 anymore. That doesn't work.
No.
People have higher levels of emotional intelligence. And for me, it really happened like 2018, 2019. I went to a conference with Matt Monero and Judge Graham. And like, I really it finally clicked for me on company culture and what it means. And so like now, like we have our core values, which are the big thing. And I'll give this to the team, like to the team, to the people that are watching, is like, if you don't have core values in your company, then you have no framework in which to hire, manage, and fire by.
100%. 100%.
That is why you should have core. Because like a lot, like that's what held me back for so long, David. Was like, I'm like, yeah, all this fluffy mojo bullshit, like that doesn't show up on the P&L. Why am I wasting time on it? Why am I wasting time on team lunches or team dinners or any of this stuff? It's like, because man, if you do it right, it does show up on the P&L. It just does. It's not a line item. It doesn't say core values, 37,000 in income. And so for us, like I'll give you guys ours. It's growth, innovation, velocity, and excellence. And so growth, we believe people are happiest when they're becoming more than they are. And now people always go, well, I think of people that don't like to grow. It's like, well, then you're not on our fucking team, right? That's the hire, manage, and fire by. And so if you're not a growth-oriented, growth-mindseted person, like, you're not going to play with us. Innovation, we never believe that how it's done right now is the best way to do it. There's probably always a better way to do it. Velocity this goes into my engineering background, is like speed in the right direction, right? Like, a lot of people have speed as their core value, but I think velocity is more important, because velocity is speed, but with the direction. Because you could be running really, really fast, but if you're running really, really fast to a ledge or a brick wall, that's not going to end well. And so the last one is excellence, always doing your best. And so how do I put these in practice? If I have a team member that maybe isn't moving fast enough, or is moving fast, but they're not moving in the right direction, I sit down and I have a conversation about velocity with them, right? Maybe I have a team member that we set out some new growth goals, but they're not hitting them, right? I sit down, I have a conversation about growth. Maybe I have a team member that started dropping the ball lately, right? And something's going on. We have a conversation about excellence. Here's the last part. You don't have that conversation about excellence by saying, hey, Andy, dude, you're not showing up with excellence anymore. Like, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with you right now. Like, we got to figure this out. It's like, hey, Andy, I mean, talk to me about, like, just look over the last 2 or 3 weeks. Like, if you had to rate your level of excellence on a scale of 0 being the worst and 10 being the best, where would you be at? Cool. Doesn't matter the number. What do you think's impacting that right now? Right? Here's what happens. Your team member goes, listen, man, me and my wife are having a hard time. Right? Like, we're going through some struggles. Hey, man, I just got to tell you, like, grandma just passed away. And so grandpa just moved in with me and my wife and the 3 kids. And so, like, we're going through a shift, right? Oftentimes, if you have a high performer in your business, what I've found, if they stop becoming a high performer, something has changed at home more often than it has changed at work. Most businesses are really good about living Groundhog's Day, right? Like, it's just the same day over and over and over again. It doesn't change much, but something at home will change, and then they bring it to work with them. It's your job, not as the boss, as the leader, to help them through that, to progress them forward, and to help them grow. I truly believe that, man.
I totally believe in that too. And it's funny you say that too, because I think success leaves clues a lot of times too, because this is really the same exact framework that took my organization to the next level, especially when we were scaling our first insurance agencies. We hit that plateau and we just couldn't go further. We kept trying to replicate and we couldn't go further. And then I went to a conference, it was like 10X, and there was this guy, I think it was JJ Watson, I believe his name was. He was on 10X stage and he ran 7 Honda dealerships. And ironically, he ranked number 1. He had the number 1 through 7 position in all of Honda, the 7 most successful dealerships. And what he contributed it to was non-negotiable and having a non-compromising culture. And that's when I had the light bulb go off for me and realized that, hey, I didn't have those non-negotiables in place, and I didn't have a set framework when it came to culture that, hey, if you're going to be in this seat, the price of admission for being in this seat is you need to eat, live, and breathe the culture. So we literally went back to the team and we said, hey, we're going to do things differently. Here's the why behind it. We're trying to go to a totally different place. And in order to get there, we need to do things differently than we ever done. We came up with our non-negotiables, positive mental attitude. That was one of them. So it was like, because we recognized that in there, hey, while we had some great performers, there was people that didn't have great attitudes in our organization that were sabotaging things for the rest of the team. So while they were staying consistent with performance, they were negatively impacting the rest of the team. So we laid out this framework to them. We need you to have a positive mental attitude, live with integrity with everything you do, show up, leave people better off. So we had this whole list of core values and non-negotiables we went by, and we said, hey, we're not going to fire you overnight, but you got 60 days to get on board with the ship. Or the ship is going to leave without you. And we had, great conversations. People are with us for a while. Do you think you're living this same way you just demonstrated there? Hey, if you had to rate yourself 1 through 10, how well do you think you're living our core values, and what's getting in the way? And we gave them chance after chance after chance. But, maybe in that 3rd, sometimes 4th conversation, because a lot of it was our fault, we allowed the behaviors to continue that continued. So we gave them probably more chances than we normally would. But the end result was we had to get rid of some of our top performers. After getting rid of a couple of our top performers inside that couldn't conform to the culture, would you guess what happened? We started doing more with less, and then the feedback was raving. And then all of a sudden, because we had like a turn of the guards, we had not just me as the leader, but all of our management and even some of our senior, some of our senior team members, we set the expectations. Hey, if you want to grow with us, we need you to be the standing guard and the standing watch. When I'm not here, you need to be living and breathing this culture. And it became something that was like an ecosystem that lived on its own. And once it became an ecosystem that lived on its own, that's when things became easy. It became fun because then they started to hold each other accountable to the core values. And that's how you really know that you did it right when, you're creating that right business culture. And then the second point that you said there too was, being that leader and leading them through the life situations, right? Things are tough at home. That's why we decided we had to get away from managing the number, right? Because I think too many people get caught up. They talk about this all the time, but it's like you're managing the calls, you're managing the quotes, you're managing the number, and you're beating them death on that. That doesn't matter to them. They don't care about your number that's going to help you make more money. Yeah. But what if you found out the things that are like most important to them, the deepest likes, interests, passions, ambitions? So what we would do is like every quarter have our team do a vision board. We want to know, what are your personal goals? What are your professional goals? What are some of your problems? What are some of your things? And now let's put that on your monitor so you look at that every day. So you got something to chase and you have a why behind. So now when you're not making the dials, it's not, why didn't you make the dials? You're not doing the quotes. Why didn't you make the quotes? You're not making the deals. Why didn't you make the deals? It's like, hey, what's going on? Well, I got this goal. Well, is that fair to little Susie or little Johnny that you told me you're living in a bad environment in that apartment complex that's not safe, that's crammed, they're going to the wrong schools? Is it fair they got to wait another week, another month, another year because you just chose to not feel like it today and not show up? Yeah. Or you're here 8 hours anyways. Do you think the right thing to do is to maybe, hey, leave it at the door and know that I'm here if you need to go to lunch with me and let's talk through what's going on in life? I'm here for that. But when you come in here, it's my job as the leader to hold you accountable, to show up in a lens of personal excellence, what your full potential looks like for the sake of that little boy or that little girl that you told me was more important than anything. Yeah. Is that still important to you? Well, okay, great. Well, that's my job as a leader, is to hold you accountable to those goals and ambitions. And what I found there is you get a whole nother level of respect because, again, you're not managing it from a personal self-interest standpoint anymore. Now you're managing it from, hey, I'm going to help you get to your goal. And I'm sure you probably heard the old saying, a mentor told me a long time ago, you help enough other people get to where they want to go, you're never, ever going to have to worry about your destination. You're never going to have to worry about your customers, and you're never going to have to worry about a lack of deals, because if you help them get done what they need to get done, like, they're going to help you get, as a byproduct, get everything that you need to have accomplished and more in your life and in your organization.
Yep. It's old Zig Ziglar quote. I love it.
Yeah, man. But no, where I'd like to go next, and last time, and this has been amazing having you on the show. We're gonna have you back.
Appreciate that. That's fun.
It's been nothing but knowledge bombs here for people. But let's get into your four pillars in practice. I know you have these 4 pillars that really change the game for you. I'd love for you to kind of break those down and how it can maybe change the game for other people here that are trying to take their insurance agency or their business to the next level.
Yeah, to me, it's, I call it the 4 pillars, but it's also kind of like the cycle of life as an enterprising individual. And, to me, it's like, I know you guys keep hearing me saying that enterprising, but it's like, I think the word entrepreneur has gotten so watered down, and it doesn't necessarily bring the full scope of what I'm talking about. When I say enterprising individual, you could have a 40-hour-a-week job and have a side hustle on an Etsy store, and like, you're an enterprising individual, right? But you may not be able to feel confident enough to claim, hey, I'm an entrepreneur, right? And so that's why I've tried to change my wording a little bit. I think words are very, very important, even though like some of the like Harvard studies, they say that like words are only 7% of communication. I think they pack a lot of power in them. But yeah, these 4 pillars to success: dream more, be more, do more, and give more. I think it's kind of the life cycle of an entrepreneur or somebody that's going to be successful. The first one is dream more. I think that one of the biggest mistakes that we make, and I alluded to this earlier, is that we don't dream big enough and we don't dream often enough. And I think you have to dream more. Dream more for your family.
We all did at one point in our life when we were a kid, and something went sideways along the way.
Yeah, it's called school. They it was okay to be little Billy that drew pictures and had a wild imagination. And then you get to 4th and 5th grade and they're like, hey, you need to tame that shit down a little bit here, right? It's like,
I like to call that the force of average, right? So it's like whether you go to school, you're getting an indoctrination over an education, school, society, grandpa, mom, because you're not saying that grandpa or grandma or mom are bad people, but they learn limiting beliefs from the same places and pass them around to generation to generation to generation. So you think about it, along the way, you find yourself in this box that school put you in, our medical system put you in, your relatives put you in, and then maybe even your circle of friends that have those same limiting beliefs. And that force can be powerful. And it's like, you got to ask yourself, how do I break out of that box to think differently, to think bigger again, to dream bigger again? And, I think that's where the growth takes place, is outside the box and outside the force of average.
Yeah, I can tell you, David, I've never just woken up one morning and just started executing on something. And then at the end of it was like, oh shit, look what I built, right? Like, no, you have to see it in your mind first, right? And so that's where the dream more comes in. Then I believe that you have to be more. Big dreams demand that you have big commitments from yourself on a personal development level. And so I feel like you need to make sure that you're developing as a person, you're developing yourself. I truly believe that your level of income, the number that you have in the bank right now, Jim Rohn said that his old mentor used to tell him this, said, show me the number that's in your bank account right now, and I can tell you how many goals you have written on the piece of paper in your pocket. And people go, well, I don't have my goals written on a piece of paper in my pocket. It's like, well, then I can guess your bank account, right? You guys have to become more of a person. You have to develop. I also am a big fan of the saying that knowledge doesn't only come from college. So I think you should always be learning, should always be growing. The next one is do more. The power of positive thought comes to life through positive action. You can only get so much built by thinking and dreaming and talking about it. You have to have actions. And then if you do those first 3, you have the potential to become wildly successful. And with that, I think one of the most fulfilling, most rewarding things about making money and becoming, an enterprising individual and becoming successful is that you get to give back. And so that's why our core values, growth, innovation, velocity, excellence, it's an acronym for GIVE. And once a quarter, we actually go to a family scholar house and do a give project. So next month, we're going to do an ice cream social. So we rent an ice cream truck, pull up, and it's all, these single moms that have been in really, really bad situations. This program tries to get them back on their feet. And what I love most about it's hand ups, not handouts. And so they try to improve their life through education. And so we come and we just throw a big ice cream party. We're bumping music. We bring bubbles and all the kids get to come out of their apartments and just hang out and have a good time. Man, that's, to me, our give projects are some of my favorite days throughout the year. So that's the 4 pillars of success, man.
No, it's amazing. Well, we got more in common than I ever thought here too. We're definitely going to have to wrap some more, especially on the giving side, man. Because I think a lot of people think, I'm going to get all this success and then I'm going to give. But that day never really comes. And what I like to tell people about is, well, you can start doing that today, right? You can have your cake and eat it too. What if you made that part of your brand? What if you made it part of your marketing strategy and you became what I'll call, learn from a mentor, Cole Hatter, a for-purpose business? An example of a for-purpose business is Tom's Shoes. They used to be ordinary shoe company that did a pretty good job.
Uh-oh, Andy, do you
I think, Dave, we might have lost his connection. And we'll get him reconnected here in just a moment. In the meantime, there we go. I think we got you.
Yeah. But I think, their average COGS at Tom's Shoes were $40 per pair of shoes. But they're like, you know what? We want to be a for-purpose company. And what they decided to do, and it didn't even cost them a dime, they just increased their COGS, their cost of goods, $45 on average per pair of shoes, charge $5 more. But what they did instead is for every pair of shoes sold, they gave a pair of shoes to people overseas that couldn't afford them. They were walking around barefoot. And I think to date, they've given out millions of pairs of shoes. So they made the impact, but at the same time, it was the very fuel and the catalyst to absolutely explode their brand. And we try to do that in all of our companies, whether it's time, money, energy, resources, to be for purpose in some way. We've done, homeless initiatives, scholarships, Like I even have an educational program we do. It's called Fifth Degree Academy. We teach kids the things that our school system doesn't teach. So I literally just, last Tuesday night, we were teaching kids on how to form an LLC. Like,
That's
so
cool,
here's
man.
like 8-year-old kids. Now they know what a limited liability corporation is, so we're teaching them all these sort of different frameworks. And then, just this week too, we bought a little food truck. I got a concession stand truck that we're going to do. And it's going to be twofold. It's going to be one, because I'm a big proponent. I think you're maybe of the same cloth, of getting the truth out there. The media is just feeding people so many lies that are out there that I call them American dream killers. And, the American dream means so much to me that I wanted to get the truth out there. So we're putting a coffee shop that's going to have the daily drip of truth of what the media is lying about today with the truth to it. And then it also happens to be illegal in Florida to feed the homeless. So we're going to have a quarter jar.
It's illegal?
Well, it's if you do a commercial initiative to go out and feed the homeless, like it's against like city ordinance to go out and do that. And
you got to have a permit. The government's saying cut us in or cut it out.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to have a quarter jar there. You can lend a quarter, and then all meals for the homeless will be 25 cents. So
nice.
They pay for it. They have a borrowing mechanism. They never have to pay back, and then they can buy themselves a meal. And that's how we're gonna get around it and do impact. And it's like projects like that really feed my soul and motivate me to build the companies at a different level than we've ever done. So what I've found there is, if anybody that's listening, if you want one thing to blow up your brand, is really find a purpose that you're deeply passionate about, your team's deeply passionate about, your customers can be deeply passionate about. And then you'll notice you're kind of walking with a different pep in your step when you're trying to build that brand. So is your team, but then your customers come in a whole nother lens of engagement. So I really love that give back piece, and just wanted to spend a little bit of time on that, because I don't think there's enough people doing it. Yeah. And I think if they did start doing it, they would realize that like it could be one of the catalysts and game changers inside of their company in terms of exploding your brand perspective.
I love that, man. And I'll give you one even closer to home, right? Like right now, if you're not giving anything, right? You don't give to your church, maybe don't go to church, like maybe you don't believe in God, whatever it may be. Let me just tell you where my journey got me and how I started giving is I started carrying cash with me. I wrote it in my goals that I read every morning. It said, carry cash with you to give away to the homeless when you're walking around downtown. So when I would go from meeting to meeting, I'd pass a homeless person, and in the beginning, I'd give them $1, then I'd give them $5. Now I carry 20s. I hand out $20 bills to homeless people. And I had a buddy one time, he's like, dude, he's just going to go buy alcohol with that, right? And I just always tell myself, and maybe this doesn't land with some people, but I looked at my buddy and I said, yeah, that, or that could have been an angel and God was testing my goodwill. Right. And so for me, I just think, man, if you just give to people, a homeless person isn't going to go, what, bro, only $1, right? Like give what you can now. Because if you think that you're not going to give anything now, and then all of a sudden you got millions in the bank and now you're going to start giving, it doesn't work like that. And I'll tell you, it's one of the most like self-rewarding things you can do is to give and help somebody out, man.
Oh, 100%. Dude, I'll give you a quick story too, like that, the impact of that. Cause I feel like God sometimes put people in my path and, tells me to do things for them. Like I was driving, a couple different stories. I was driving, getting on the expressway, and there was this, African-American girl pulled over on the side of the road. Like I knew she needed help. Everybody's passing her. And, I went over, pulled behind her. I'm like, hey, can I help? She's like, my car won't start. Well, I go to, help her, start with her car. And then all of a sudden, we got to talking and introduced myself, what I do, what she does. And then she got just broke down, crying, not about the car, but hey, I'm struggling financially. This is what I got going in my life. My business is in the right direction. So it gave me an opportunity as a business owner. Hey, tell her who I was. And I mentored her and gave her some advice. And one of my mentors, like Tim Story, that I do coaching with, I bought a personal coaching session for her. And what's weird about it too, I got in her car to help her start the car. I turned the key, put my foot on the brake. It just started right up. There was nothing wrong with the car whatsoever. But that girl, she is now has a 7-figure business. Not that, I take credit for that, but, I firmly believe God put her on my path. He spoke to me. I had to stop when nobody else was stopping. I had another situation. There was, I saw these homeless kids out in California when I was going out there for masterminds. And I'm like, man, seeing so many homeless. And I drove by this sign. There's a restaurant I never heard of out there, but it's called Church's Chicken. I was like, that was a sign to me that a name of a restaurant would be Church's Chicken literally 30 seconds after I saw these homeless kids. So I spent the day feeding the homeless and went to Goodwill, dressed up like a homeless person to understand it at a deeper level, and started connected with these kids on the street. Wow. Bought them tents, taught them strategies, gave them food. They're like, people keep stealing our tents. The city keeps writing them down, helped them set up these tents in the woods, buried protein bars so they could come back and unbury them later when they're hungry, different things like that. There was one kid still stayed in touch with to this day. He actually attended a mastermind with me last year of Dave Meltzer's. Again, I take no credit for it whatsoever, but he was deeply, in drugs and everything on the street, got off the street, turned his life around, found God. And, now that kid is telling that story and he's making about $250,000 a year in the HVAC world. And I got to take that kid that I met on the street and invite him because I was out in California for the mastermind, and we're able to bring some people with us. And, I brought him with us, and he got to meet like celebrities, athletes, and all this cool stuff. And it's like, you never know when you see somebody. Sometimes if you just make assumptions about them and you pass by, like, you could have been the difference in their life, whether I was or whether I wasn't. I'm always a firm believer to know, always stop when everybody else is busy and, running by, these people that need for help. And that just falls into my philosophy. You help enough other people in the world. Like, you never got to worry about, yourself or your family.
I love that, dude. And it's powerful because I think there's a lot of people that don't believe, and they're always looking for reasons to believe. And it's like, well, the miracles don't happen anymore. Yeah, they do. Like David just told you, that girl was stranded. She was freaked out. She just lost her mode of transportation. That's no different than her riding a donkey and the donkey dying. And then all of a sudden David touches it, it comes back to life, right? It's just the modern day version of that. It's like the car won't start. He started, it started. What? How'd that happen? I don't know, man. I also know that I'm no theologian, but the good book says that we will be tested. We're here to be tested. And I think those opportunities get put in front of us for a reason by a higher power, man. So I'm
without a doubt, man. And I'll tell you, like, even that kid, one more thing about that kid that I noticed that was special about him, when everybody else was discounting him, denoting him, he was telling me stories how people would spit on him, getting food out of the garbage when they would ask money and nobody would talk to him. That kid was playing a guitar. I'm like, man, where'd you learn to play the guitar? You're playing the guitar pretty good. Like, on the street, started getting cell phones that people abandoned and tablets that were given to him, got on YouTube on a free Wi-Fi and taught himself to play the guitar on the streets. Wow. So I was like, if that kid can do that, when I spoke into his life that day, I was like, man, you can do anything. Yeah. You have the willpower to conquer drugs. You have the willpower to go out and do that. And then sure enough, again, I won't take credit for it at all, but this kid goes out and he applies the gifts that he has in the modern day business world. And man, he's crushing it for this HVAC company. It's just powerful. And then, no, I think we're at the end of our time here. What I'd like to do, man, is ask you one final question and then get into how people can follow you, how they can work with you. And again, thank you so much. So anybody that's listening live, anybody's listening to the rerun, make sure to show a lot of love down in the chat because it's been nothing but a ton of knowledge bombs and wisdom today. But I like to ask everybody, Coach Carroll, is today was your last day and you had to leave one thing to everybody tomorrow that was your legacy, your impact on the world, what you stood for and people knew you and remembered you by. What would that one thing be?
It's easy, man. I don't even have to think about it. It's my mantra. Been my mantra for a really, really long time. Hustle, it's worth it. Because I think that action is where attribution happens. And so you have to hustle. And if you do that long enough, you get to a point in your life where you get the it's worth it part. To me, that's the book I have. That's the roadmap I have. That's all I know is like, get up, go execute, and eventually it'll be worth it. And if you do it right and you keep God at the center of it, the it worth it part will be wildly bigger, wildly more fruitful than you could have ever imagined. The life that I have right now, man, at 36, when I was 18 years old, all I ever wanted to do, man, was make $100,000 a year, drive a Porsche Cayman S, and live in a $250,000 house, right? Like that was the goal. And so I've been blessed way beyond that. And so yeah, for me, man, it's my mantra: just hustle, it's worth it.
No, I love that, brother. I love that. And I guess last but not least, how can people follow you, and then how can they work with you?
Yeah, it's here on the screen. Coach Carroll, 2 R's, 2 L's. You guys can just go to coachcarroll.com. That's the easiest way. I've got tons of free resources on there, courses, books, resources for you. My new book is coming out in the middle of summer. It's called The Hunter Head Game. And it is, I just truly believe that the old world demanded and rewarded obedience. And I think the new world that we're in requires killer instincts. And so I wrote a book around that and all of the life lessons that I've had so far. It's funny, I'm only 36, man, but I've been doing this half the years I've been alive. And so I meet guys in their 50s that, I've been an entrepreneur longer than they've been an entrepreneur. And so I just thought it was a good time. I think that people need that right now. We are in a place where you push a button and your food, your groceries, your fucking soap, like whatever you need just shows up at your doorstep. And while that's really, really cool, at the same time, I think it's made us soft. And everybody knows that old Chinese proverbs about what good times happen to soft people. And so I'm just trying to get ahead of that and try to save as many people as I can, man, from either wasting a shit ton of years or never going after it. And I would just encourage people that you've got a key in your pocket to freedom. You should at least get up, walk across the floor and see if it'll work in the door that's right in front of you.
No, absolutely. Absolutely love that, man. Well, I think we're a little bit over our time. This has been an absolute incredible episode.
Thanks for having me, dude. It's been fun.
Yeah, no, likewise, man. And yeah, you heard it. That's how you follow them. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching the rerun. And make sure to join us next week, same channel, same time, same Insurance Syndicate group here live on Ask the Experts. Until then, we'll see you next week.